Good afternoon, good evening, happy Friday, and welcome to episode 3 of Along the Lines, my little podcast about knitting, spinning, various crafts, and nice fluffy things. Tonight's episode is brought to you by cocktails, in particular a vodka and sour rhubarb cocktail I made up about 15 minutes ago. It's lovely, and it certainly does the job on a lovely hot Friday afternoon. It sounds like everyone's got hot weather this weekend, so make the most of it. We're having a barbecue, I hope you will too. And sorry if you've got a thunderstorm coming. It's really funny. I've grown so used to the podcast. I'm already spending the week thinking, can't wait to record the next one, can't wait to talk to you, I've got so much to tell you. So again, I can't believe how nice knitters and crafty people are. I've had a ton of wonderful comments, and that was via Twitter, where you can find me on Vero, and on Ravelry as That Canadian Girl. It's been great fun so far. I'm still absolutely loving it, and as I said, I've got so much to tell you. I suppose the first thing, if you haven't watched, I created a little short episode, well, not episode, a little video in between episode 2 and this one, because I just got too excited when I received some fantastic post. I got a big parcel from Easy Knits, which is a British hand dyer, and amongst all the lovely things that I received, I was so excited that I didn't even open up the sushi roll. So a sushi roll, for those who missed the other episode, is a big blank. This one is obviously dyed, but it arrives completely white, and the dyer can then effectively paint it like one big bit of fabric. And when it arrived, I showed it all rolled up, wrapped up, and you could see the rainbow, but there was no way you could tell just how majestic this was going to be. So it starts at this end with a tealy green, and then carries on all the way over to red and pink, and it's going to make such a fun gradient. If you've got ideas of what I could knit with it, or if you've knit with sushi rolls before, I'd love to hear it. In fact, I think knitters are very divided about these. Do you unravel it, kind of wash it so that it gets the kink out, and turn it into a ball before you start? Or do you knit straight off of this blank, even though, as far as I can tell, it's going to basically be like knitting with ramen noodles, and I bet it must feel a little bit funny, but then obviously once washed it all kind of comes out really lovely. But I'm in two minds. I haven't decided how I'm going to handle this. The other yarn I received was the orange and black Deeply Wicked. As I was saying, orange and black, Deeply Wicked. I've got 3 of the orange, 1 of the black, and I think what I'm likely to make is a simple ziggurat, which is a pullover, very simple lines, where you use your primary colour to do the majority of the body, and then the bottom of the sleeves and the bottom of the body is done in the alternative colour. I will be honest, I didn't pay much attention when I picked that colour. I thought I was getting a brown colour rather than black. So I need to decide if I feel like I'm going to look like I'm running a Halloween party, or if they're going to go great together. I may possibly find something as an alternative to this one and do orange and maybe my original plan, which was orange and brown, if I find one, or I'll find another colour that goes with it. I'm not sure yet. It'll probably be an autumn project. I'm nearly done the Hitofude, so that's the one that I've been talking about since episode 1, with the aim of finishing it before the 5th of September. I have something like, I'm looking over there because it's there in a big pile. I have about 6 rows of the body left, so literally just that much, and then the edging. So if I'm lucky, if I manage to sneak some decent knitting time in this weekend, I think I should be able to finish it and then weave the ends in and block it next week, in which case I'll have a tutorial on using blocking wires. So I've got a few decisions to make. What am I going to make next? I've got a few other things to finish, but really, I can't wait to cast something new on. I think I've really got itchy fingers. I've got castitis. Castitis, that sounds like an illness. Sometime this week. And in fact, I would love your thoughts on what I could use to make an exploration station shawl. That's a Stephen West pattern that uses 4 different colours, and I've been eyeing it pretty much since it came out, and have always had too many things on the go, plus with 4 different colours. I'm not sure how concurrently you use the 4 colours, but I would imagine you still have to carry a bag that's got the 400 grams of yarn, so it hasn't been my top priority because I haven't felt like lugging that around, but that might change. So let me audition about 3 or 4 combos. I'll show you the combos, leave a comment and let me know which one you would choose if you were to pick, and then I'll have a look at the votes and they'll help me decide, because I have been dithering on this for a year, I think. It's about time I make a choice. Let's go have a look. So auditioning combination number 1, a gold and gorgeous mix of colour of kind of golds and coppers and a little bit of silvery grey in there, which is a Skein Queen Lustrous in the Goldfinch, which was from the Yarn Club, where the book, I think the book was the Goldfinch, and then this was the semi-solid from the same club month. This was also a club one from some months back, in fact maybe from a year or 2 ago, and it's more of a kind of burnished copper, as the name calls it. And then this would tie it all together. It's a lovely single, a Salkino, so I think that's a that's yeah, 70% superwash merino and 30% silk. So these would all go together. Now here's another possible combo, which is quite a vivid, lovely, lively colour scheme. So purple, which is Araucania Malti, I think, which, oh good god, that was in horrendous colours originally. I think it was in white with some red and some blue, and I didn't like it. First I tried dyeing it with Kool-Aid, which gave it some colour but really didn't do it justice, and since then I've re-dyed it with acid dyes into a more purpley grapey colour. And a lovely pink, again a Skein Queen, and this is from Sparkle Duck, and I've already made a hitchhiker with the other ball from this, but that's just such a bursting colour. And then slightly lighter, milder colour to go along with it. This is Skein Queen Delectable, and in fact this is my super duper special one that I hand dyed when I went on the workshop. So combo number 2. And then this is the very confused one that's got 2 people too many, so the 2 need to get booted out of this. So I have a fuchsia pink and a purple, both are Skein Queen Flockley. These ones always make me laugh. Everything that comes from Wollmeise in Germany is the funniest, the most, I'll get the words out eventually. They are just absolutely rock hard skeins, so, you know, while a normal skein kind of flops about a bit, nope, these ones are just very firm and solid. And this is 100% wool in a lovely teal. This is a hand-dyed, so hand-dyed, hand-spun, and hand-dyed, but not by me, from Hedgehog Fibres, and I spun this last year. This is a twin to that other grey one over there. And this is another one that I dyed on the Skein Queen workshop. So I'm debating, could be like this, or could be like this, or like this. So if you choose combo number 3, let me know which of these 6 you think are the best suited ones. mentioned that one of my possible next projects would be the Ziggurat in that lovely orange that I just showed you. There's another project that I'd love to make, and that I will make, but it's just a case of choosing the right yarn. I have got this Cascade 220, and it's been sitting around for some time. So I've got 3 skeins, and I have Mystery Ball. So the Mystery Ball, I think, is the whole 100 grams. But I've also got that inkling that I may have used this to at least make a swatch before. So if I've taken a little bit off of it already, I've got 3.9 of a balls, let's say. And the project I want to make, pretty much in my size, requires all 4. Am I going to play yarn chicken? You know that feeling where you're knitting and you know your little teeny tiny ball is just getting smaller and smaller, and you know you're eventually going to run out, but will you make it to the end of usually your bind off? Quick bind off faster. So I'm not sure I can handle a whole project where I'll have the fear that this is going to happen on the last row. Of course I could just order more, because I would imagine that Cascade yarns are probably pretty even throughout from one batch to the next, unlike hand dyed that can vary quite a lot between batches, or even within a batch sometimes. So if I do make it in this yarn, I think it would be lovely, but if not, I'll find something else. Is Veera Välimäki's Driven, which is just a lovely simple open cardigan, and I've got a friend who's made one. And every time I see her, she talks to me, and I must look a bit funny because I just can't stop analysing and looking at it and just figuring out, oh, what was that pattern again? So now that I remember what it is, it's now officially in my Ravelry queue, and I've moved it right way up to the top because I think it would be a perfect casual cardigan for this coming winter. Just a case of whether I'm brave enough for yarn chicken or if I feel like I'm going to lose. Now, this has nothing to do with anything, but I have got to tell you, if you're in the UK and you love your pens and your pencils and you're colouring in and you're just generally sketching stuff, or you just like colour, I couldn't believe I found this huge pack at Tesco for £7. Usually I've seen these, I've lusted after these before, and it's a pack of 28 lovely Sharpies. I think there's 3 or 4 that repeat in colour, but you still end up with about 24 different colours. And it's £7, it's usually 20 quid, and I think it should be in the stores for another week or so. So if you're looking for some lovely rainbow markers action, this is the one to go for. I know my store ran out of stock a few times, but I managed to get a couple of packs, so keep a look next time you go out there. Last night I was chatting with my friend Kerry, and we were having fun labelling ourselves as knitters, trying to qualify what kind of knitters we were, and qualifying friends as well. And we came up with 4 categories, and I'd love to hear where you think you fit in. So the first stage is the dreamer. So that's the knitter or lover of knitting who will spend a lot of time daydreaming what project they want to make, will spend a lot of time picking colour schemes for shawls and projects, and being slightly less fussed about when the project actually gets started. Then there's the process knitter. So the process knitter loves learning, loves the experience of learning to do lace, learning to do cables, learning steeking, and it's really about making a perfect product during the process. Then there's the product knitter. The product knitter likes to complete a project, likes to finish it, likes to know it's done and it's beautiful, and that's the person who you can't believe how quickly they've had all the ends sewn in, the sleeves are attached to the body, nothing ever sits around, you always have 2 socks, you never have single sock syndrome, and it's very much about completion. And finally there's the giver. The giver loves to give the project. They're not necessarily all that bothered about what and how, they know from the start, I am making something for this person. And that's what drives them, is the ability to complete something handmade and to give it to somebody. And I think Carrie classified herself as a dreamer and a giver. So it's the excitement of choosing, of daydreaming the project, and then the love of giving a finished project away to somebody else. I think I'm probably certainly a dreamer. I think you've guessed from the amount of time I spend planning or dreaming about what the next project might be, which is sometimes almost as much as I get knitting done in one night, which is possibly not the most productive way to finish projects. And also, I would say, a process knitter, because I enjoy the learning. I enjoy picking projects that challenge me and that might not end up being a perfect finished product, but certainly I've had fun in the process. And if it's unwearable, like my beautiful Icelandic sweater, oh well, I've had fun making it. I've spent about the same as a couple of cinema tickets, and it's kept me busy for sometimes, if in the case of the Hito Fude, easily 100 hours. So, works for me. So, what would you say? The dreamer, the process knitter, the product knitter, and the giver. What would you be? I'd be curious to hear what you think where you think you live in that sphere. So that's Fluffy the sheep, or I think she's called Fluffy. I wanted to show you another project that I've worked on, and I am hoping I can finish as soon as I finish my Hito Fude. This is the next contender for completion. It's nearly there. It's got sleeves to go. I would love to wear it this autumn, and it's I suppose it's a project I'm quite proud of, because I haven't made an awful lot of garments in adult size. I've made children's things, but to make adult garments is something that's, takes longer. So here is what I've made so far of a Coronis, which is one of the patterns from a pom-pom magazine from maybe about a year ago or so, I would say. And I've used silvery grey fibre spates high twist DK, and some, I think that's Louisa Harding, the green stripe. It had been sitting in my stash for an absolute eternity, so I thought it was a good use for it. I think that's the front, because it's got a slightly lower neckline. And it's a slightly cropped sweater. I've probably got only just a few rows to go before I can bind off the body. And then I need to decide if I'm making the sleeves the same length as the pattern, which I think is kind of 3/4 sleeve. Starting to struggle with my words. And I assure you, it's not the single cocktail. I think it's more, it's been a long week. But yeah, it's just so soft, because it's quite a silky yarn. So I think that's going to be really lovely to wear. I'm actually thinking, as soon as I finish it, I might have to make one in a different colour. I noticed a few days ago, my Hito Fude is grey, this is grey, and another project, a Susan Crawford Blanche, that I've nearly finished, is also grey. It's so unlike me to make so much in grey. As you can tell, I'm more excited by rainbows than grey things, but I suppose those garments I must be... suppose I'm being sensible. Figuring if it's grey, it goes with absolutely everything. I can accessorize with any of my crazy wild coloured shawls and it'll still work. So I think that's going to be lovely. The green certainly adds a nice little liveliness to it. So as soon as the Hito Fude is done, this is going to be my next one to be completed. Again, only a few hours left on it, I'm sure. So in the past, I was part of the Fibres Club by Hedgehog Fibre, and I would get a bag like this every month for a quarter, and I would spin it, but spinning takes a long time as well. So when you're planning on spinning something, then knitting something out of it, sometimes it just doesn't happen. So I thought this quarter I'd treat myself to the Sock Club by Hedgehog Fibres. It's one of those things where you just have to set a timer and be ready to jump on it, because they just sell out so quickly. The club just went within a few hours. So I've signed up for the Sock Club, which is 2 skeins. And I may have also signed up for the Twist Sock Club, which is 1 skein. So I'm going to be increasing my stash by a minimum of 3 skeins a month just for the next quarter, but not sure how much space there is left in the shelves. I better start to knit quickly. So that's going to be some absolutely epic stash enhancement that I cannot wait to show you next month. Everything I've seen from her club seems fantastic, really interesting. A lot of speckles, a lot of kind of slightly wild colour changes, which is going to be kind of a nice change. It's going to add to, because I've got a lot of semi-solids in my stash, so they'll work well together. Something else I would like to tackle soon is learning brioche knitting. I have to admit, in the past 2 weeks, I have tried brioche knitting, which is where you get a very corrugated ribbing type effect, and you can do it in 2 colours where the, let's say the pearls are in one colour and the knits are in another colour, which makes for a really lovely colourful project. And in fact, if I do the exploration station, I'll have no choice but to learn how to do brioche. But it's one of those things where I just seem to be incapable of doing it. I don't understand. I've read the instructions, I've followed the instructions, and I assure you my finished result did not look anything like brioche is supposed to. Have to admit that 2 beers and watching the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles movie at the same time might not have been the best way to concentrate and learn something new. So I'll have to try again. But that is definitely going to be something I want to tackle this autumn. I think speckled yarn is fantastic, and that's going to be coming with Hedgehog Fibres, and I think that is just going to be so perfect for a brioche project. So 1 semi-solid or solid colour and 1 speckled colour. I think that's just going to have a brilliant effect. So next few months, brioche, you and me, we've got a date. So from me and from Owly, thank you for joining me again today. I've really enjoyed this, and I hope you have too. If you remember, I mentioned last week that I would put together a little Twitter list of the crafty people who I think are interesting to read, are interesting to watch. I'll put that in the show notes, so take a look, along with all the other things I talked about. I'll add to the show notes as well. Don't forget that you can say hi on Twitter, I'm Vero, and on Ravelry as That Canadian Girl, and I shall see you next week. Bye bye!